Good morning. As you can see, this presentation is going to apply to a lot of the different categories that we enjoy, and one of them that I'm excited about, of course, is the visual. So I can't wait to get started on this. I'm happy to introduce my friend Janita James and her friend Anna Edison, who I just had the privilege of meeting this morning, but I've heard about her for quite a while. They're going to talk to you about their experience as cancer survivors participating in an all-women's award-winning, internationally award-winning Dragon Boat team. Janita James is a graduate of Willamette University. She's a naturalist who does beautiful, handwritten and hand-designed individual watercolor cards featuring animals and plants and other natural interests of this area, with calligraphy explaining more about the creatures that are represented in her art. She also is a very dedicated contributor to the community, working as a volunteer at Butch Pasture Park in the Rose Garden, and she also volunteers with the Carousel, doing seasonal decorations at the Carousel. On the windows, right?
Yes, I used to work in the artist studio too.
Right. And Anna Edison began her career with a business degree from Lewis and Clark, and later got a master's in education from Oregon State University. And she started out in business management and then joined the Salem-Keizer School District. And she was there for 18 years as a teacher, and later as a mentor and an instructional counselor. So I'm not going to take too much more time than that, except to say that we owe the visuals in this presentation to Anna's work. So they're both artists in a number of different ways, and they also have some things to show you here on the table. So, ladies, take us on our journey.
When you look at the two of us, is look at these stud athletes. Right? And we're going to, as Ann said, we're going to take you on a journey. As Ann said, we're going to take you on a journey of dragon boating connected to breast cancer, as well as beyond. So we'd like to welcome all of you here, and now we're going to take a minute to tell you who we are beyond what Ann said. And you're going to hear more about our cancer story and how we found dragon boating. You're going to hear all of that later. So just hang tight for that.
Yes, I'm Janita, and you can probably tell from my voice, and if you don't hear me well enough, anytime during the presentation, just put your hand up like this. I will watch and I'll speak louder. I was born in Scotland, very, very proud. You know, I'm a naturalized American citizen now, but my heart is always in the Highlands of Scotland. Came over in 1967. My husband is Welsh. Eventually settled in Salem, and I have a degree from, all the degrees I had in the UK didn't count, so I went to Shemeketa for years and years, got my associates, then went to George Fox. They were one of the first colleges to have keep your day job, go to school at night, got a bachelor's there. Then eventually came to Willamette and got my master's in education in 2002. Interestingly enough, at the same time, my two daughters were going to Willamette, but they said, "It's okay, Mom, if you see us, you don't have to wave to us." And my future son-in-law, as it turned out, was also going to Willamette, so we have quite a Willamette connection. The outdoors has always been of a great interest to me. I've always loved nature, and I'm really happy out in nature. I'm very visual, so when I go out walking, I don't listen to music or anything. I like to listen to the wind and all the sounds of nature. And I like to watch the little teeny things growing and the big things and everything. And I really enjoy nature journaling, so that's one of my things. And we're going to cover later, Anna, right, about how we got into dragon boating. Just a quick bio on me, though.
Yep. Yep. Well, I'm Anna Edison, and I actually grew up in Sandy, Oregon. Okay, spent a little time in California, but most of it has been up here in Oregon. As she said, went to Lewis and Clark College, got my bachelor's in business, spent time in business management, moved into women's and family ministry, and then eventually ended up at the school district. And I have a story to tell you how that all happened later. I am a mom of 3, and my husband and I recently moved up to Charbonneau, so we're still in the area. And I used to bring my students over here to Willamette to tour them. So, love Willamette. I think it's a fabulous university. All right. We are going to get into this. So today, I wanted to give you a brief overview of what we're going to be doing. So we've divided this into 4 sections, hopefully 2 sections before the break and 2 after the break. We're going to talk about the cancer connection. That's the reason we're here. How cancer connects to dragon boating. So we're going to be talking about the history, physical benefits, mental benefits, social benefits, etc. Then we're going to talk about us and our personal stories, how we found it, what dragon boating is to us. We're going to talk about the teams. You might have some questions. We're not going to get into too much technical detail, but we're going to just answer some of the things. We're going to show you some pictures. We have a lot of pictures. Janita is our bird identifier on the boat, so anytime we see or hear a bird, Janita, what was that? And I have become the photographer on the boat. So I try to capture a lot of the photos out on the river. So today you'll get to see a lot of those. And then, and that's going to be in the Beyond the Boat. We're going to talk about how dragon boating, what happens here, not only in the community, how we build a community, some of the travel, and some of the nature. So that's what you're in for this morning. All right. All right, we're going to do it this way because we don't have a presenter view, so we're going to start here. How did dragon boating start? Many of you may have heard or may know it actually started in China, okay? And it was over 2,000 years ago. And it started with a poet whose words were making people upset, shall we say. And so what happened is, Qian, I'm sure I'm saying that incorrectly, but he was falsely accused of treason. So here was this poet, he was accused of treason, he was devastated. So what did he do? He went down to the river, and as a final act of protest, he threw himself into the river and drowned. Well, the community was so upset, so what happened is all the fishermen, they gathered their boats and they raced to find him and to retrieve his body before the fish ate him. So what happened is, as they were doing that, they were beating the drums and they threw these rice dumplings to distract the fish so that they could get to him. This founded the tradition. This is really where it started. So over 2,000 years ago, this happened. Today, it's usually in June in China, they still do a reenactment of this part of the history where the fishermen get in their boats and they go find the body. But that has evolved into actual racing. So modern day racing, in 1976, Hong Kong Board of Tourism was looking to promote itself, and it decided to do this dragon boating, so brought that concept forward into that. And that was really the first really known international race. And then in 1991, the real true modern dragon boating that we know today came about when the International Dragon Boating Federation was formed. And they are overseeing, governing, I don't know if governing really, but they're overseeing organization within the dragon boat community. All right. We'll let you get there.
Yes, about that time, oh yeah. This is Dr. Don McIntyre from Vancouver, and he decided that he was a fitness doctor, that maybe dragon boating or something that promotes upper body movement might be good for women who had breast cancer or were survivors from it. And at that point, women who had lymphedema, or you are in danger of developing lymphedema if you've had breast cancer surgery. And at that time, it was thought that a lot of strenuous upper body movement might not be good, and it might actually encourage lymphedema. He decided to challenge this, and he got together a group of women survivors, and they decided to challenge this. They trained for several months beforehand, before getting in the boat, trained for 2 months before getting in the boat. Then they got in the boat and it started competing, and it was very, very successful. And nobody developed, or the lymphedema didn't develop or get worse. In fact, the women grew stronger, both mentally and physically. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
And now we come to 30 years later. So this first women's dragon boating team was formed 30 years ago. And this year up in Vancouver, BC, they had a big celebration because that first team, called Abreast in a Boat, was from up there. So we went up to that. It was the largest event of its kind in the Western Hemisphere. There were 33 teams. There were 33 teams of breast cancer survivors from all over the world, from 4 continents, and they were all competing up there. That also, there were just the regular competitors, so it was an absolutely huge event. It was a little bit intimidating because the races were 8 boats across. We're used to 4 at the most, sometimes just 2, but that was 8 across.
And we're going to show those pictures in a little bit.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So do I go on?
Yep.
So it was decided safe for lymphedema. Dragon boating, a lot of people think, oh, it's just people say to me, oh, it's just your shoulders and arms, let's get a real workout. Yes, they do, but it's actually a whole body workout. It is excellent for your core, and since I've been dragon boating, all my life before that, I'd always suffered from back pain or back trouble, and since I've been dragon boating, that has gone. You even use your legs. If you're really dragon boating properly, you're using your legs as well, so you're getting a full body workout.
Janita, can I show them real quick what that stroke looks like?
Yes.
So here's our paddle, and a lot of people are wondering, how does that work? You sit side by side in a boat, so sometimes in the back of the boat narrows, you get really cozy
Yes.
with your buddy.
No problem keeping your hip against the gunwale
Yes,
wall.
yes, you have to keep your hip against the side. These are paddles. These are carbon fiber paddles. That's one of the first things as people start racing.
I know.
As people start racing, they end up upgrading their paddles to carbon fiber because they're much lighter and easier. So you paddle on one side. When we practice, we will actually switch sides in the middle of the river. We brace the boat like an outrigger and switch sides. But she talked about a full body workout. If you are doing the stroke correctly, you are using your core, your legs, you are using everything as you drive the paddle in and pull it back. Drive it, and you actually push down to move the water. So you're twisting and moving and pulling. So you hurt. The first time you go out, if you've never done it, you will come off of there hurting. So.
Oops.
That one. Yep.
It was also found, anyone who's had cancer treatments, you often find that you suffer from fatigue. And actual fact, going out and exercising is a wonderful way to beat the fatigue. And especially on the dragon boat, not only do you have the exercise, but you have the support of your team. And so mentally it's wonderful. And plus, being outside is just a real tonic as well. Gets you out of yourself. We always say, if you've had a hard day or something, you take it out on the river. Leave it on the river, which is what we do. So improved cardiovascular fitness, better upper limb function, and of course the mental, which Anna is going to talk about.
So the mental is huge. Some of us more than others. Life is filled with stress. Getting out on the boat is a way to release it. You can drive that paddle in as mad as you are or whatever and get it all out on the water. We talk about that. Bring it and leave it on the water. So it boosts your self-confidence. All right? Both of us are survivors. And when you go through something like that, sometimes you go, I just can't do this, I'm not, whatever. Being out in the water and being successful and seeing what can happen as a part of that team boosts that self-confidence. You feel better about yourself, okay? It can help improve your body image. Okay, it hasn't helped me lose the weight from all my cancer treatment stuff, but you know what? I feel better about who I am, and I can get out there and go, I am strong, and I can do this. Yeah. It reduces the stress and anxiety. You'll hear a little bit more on my story. I'm actually mostly a full-time caregiver now of my spouse, and I have a daily level of stress. This is the one thing in my life now that I get to come and for an hour not have to think about it. It gives my brain that rest, and it helps everybody who gets on the boat. Post-traumatic growth, what this means is it actually helps us to have that growth mindset. It helps us to become involved in more things. Mentally, we go, I can do this. I might go and try this. It helps us to take more risks, because this is a big risk to get in the boat. All right, and then the social, this is another big important thing. It's a very strong support system. We are a member of a team. 20 paddlers, a caller, a steerer. There are 22 people right there that all care about you, love you, and when you don't show up, they miss you, right? And as Coach says, you'll hear this a lot, we're always in the boat. It reduces our isolation. And you're gonna see later, we've got some pictures from the COVID years. How did we get in a boat where you gotta sit like this during COVID? You'll see what we did. It also gives hope and inspiration, not only to ourselves, but to others. You're gonna see later, we talk about the Portland, the cancer survivor ceremony. That to me is one of the most significant things, and because it gives me hope and it inspires me. It also, you are part of a community and belonging. You're part of a team. We all know how we crave that, to be a part of a group, to be a part of something. We are part of not only our team, we're part of the larger Dragon Boat community, which then goes out to the club, which then goes out to other teams in other cities and across the world. All right, this is a team up in Canada. Now, I apologize, a couple of the YouTube videos are gonna have ads. I'll try to skip them as soon as I can, but that's me for being too cheap for not subscribing to YouTube.
A year and a half ago, 29-year-old Anka Dobre received the heart-wrenching news no one wants to hear. She was diagnosed with breast cancer.
You don't expect it in your 20s, at 29, because there's no screening in your 20s.
She braced herself for the worst.
I got a lot of comments about how it was really scary and what's going to happen for the rest of your life. Like, are you going to be bedridden?
But she refused to let the diagnosis define her. Dobre joined A Breast in a Boat, a Dragon Boat team made entirely of breast cancer survivors.
And that's what's so amazing about this team, is that there's such a sense of community. Like, you don't feel alone here, because everybody, even though we're at different ages and different stages in our lives, we all went through that same terrifying thing that you never really expect yourself to go through.
The team started 30 years ago, right here in Vancouver. In 1996, UBC sports medicine doctor Don McKenzie launched a 6-month clinical trial. He wanted to challenge the myth that upper body exercise was harmful to breast cancer survivors.
So we slowly learned in the last 20 or 30 years that including exercise both during and right after cancer treatment really helped people to maintain their physical function, reduce some of the side effects of cancer treatments like fatigue, so help to manage fatigue during treatment, improve mood, and improve quality of life.
Campbell says Mackenzie's idea to start a Dragon Boat team for breast cancer survivors helped change practice around the world. Today, there are 6 survivor teams in the Lower Mainland and more than 250 worldwide.
I think they really have shown that the role of exercise and the camaraderie that you get from that really changed how people thought about breast cancer and thought about exercise and recovery after treatment.
Hit, there you go, hit, hit.
Carol Dale joined the team in 1996, 5 years after her diagnosis, and is living proof that recovery can be powerful and joyful.
It just turned out to be a fascinating year, learning a new skill, learning that I could trust my body again to work for me, And I met some wonderful people, and it's what keeps me going.
1 in 8 women in Canada will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. Many here say dragon boating has offered a path forward.
I haven't been in a team since I finished high school. So cancer can turn into a very happy opportunity. So I've learned with this team that there's life after cancer.
It's been really an incredible experience of just getting back and being active and stronger than before.
They are one of 33 breast cancer dragon boat teams from around the world, paddling for more than just medals. They're proof that there is life after diagnosis, as they find strength in every stroke. Shivani Joshi, CBC News, Vancouver.
So that was the team that Janita was talking about, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that too. In fact, right now.
Anna wasn't able to go up to Vancouver, but I was able to. And there were 4 other paddlers from the Salem area who went, actually there were 5, one isn't pictured there. And we went up. Now, some of the breast cancer teams there, some teams, it's a complete team of breast cancer survivors. Unfortunately, in Salem, we don't have enough people to fill a whole boat with 20. Throughout the club, we can kind of fill the boat, but not with, we don't have one single team dedicated to it. So the team I paddled with up in Vancouver was what was called a composite team. And we had paddlers from Florida, Georgia, Arizona, Hawaii, and the Pacific Northwest. We got together for about an hour, well, less than an hour on the Friday before the event started to paddle together. Now, different teams have slightly different styles. Their start might be different. How they proceed during the race when they do power 10s, or their sequence of power strokes during the race is different. So coming together as a composite team is quite a challenge, but luckily our coach up there, who is from Portland, Laurie Griswold, and she and her husband have gone all over the world to form new dragon boat teams and to get people started. She got us going, and luckily they have, in many of the big events, they have what's called brackets. So the first couple of races you have, based on timing and sometimes on place, that will put you in a certain bracket. So obviously the teams who are completely breast cancer teams usually are the ones who end up in A bracket. Our team didn't end up in A bracket, of course. I forget which one we were in. But we paddled mightily, and we ended up getting a gold medal. So it's probably the medal I'm most proud of. It's really beautiful. And when we came back over the border from Canada, it really impressed our young customs person in the U.S. In fact, she asked to hold it. We were a bit worried about whether they'd let us back in with our political views. So my friend and I were sitting knitting in the back, and then someone mentioned that we'd been dragon boating, and someone else said, and she won a medal for it, and the customs person, can I see it? And I said, yes. So she had a look at it. So our shirt, that's another thing, dragon boating, you get to wear kind of nice shirts. This one is really bright, but should I fall in the water, I'd be seen. But it's called Sky Dragon Sisters, and it says on it, flying together to paddle as one, which was very fitting because we did come from all over the place to paddle together. And this is, at the end of the race, these are all the finalists, and should form a flotilla, and then there's a ceremony on shore. But they didn't have enough boats. They said if we had enough boats, there really should have been 33 boats of survivors out there. But 22 paddlers on each boat, plus the caller and the steers person at the end.
So that was a little bit about the Vancouver race. So that was up in Canada. That's where it all started, right? The 30 years of breast in the boat. But what does it look like here in the Pacific Northwest? What does it look like for us in our starting of cancer? Well, this video is about Pink Phoenix, if I can get to it. There we go. It's about Pink Phoenix, which is in Portland.
Pink Pink Phoenix was actually the first all breast cancer dragon boat team to form in the United States. The team was to empower breast cancer survivors through the sport of dragon boating. We've been paddling since 1997. We have 90 active paddlers and we have 116 total members. We take 3 boats out, that's 66 women, 22 per boat. It's not individual effort, it's your individual effort along with your teammates to move the boat forward. You're following the woman directly in front of you, so whenever her blade goes in the water, your blade goes in the water.
One, hit, hit, hit.
It gives you such an empowering feeling, even though I've gone through something horrible and it really did break my body down. I'm able to build it back up. I'm able to build my strength back up.
My first practice, one of the women came up to me and said, well, I've been paddling 8 years. And right away my mind went to, well, she's at least an 8-year survivor.
I've been a member of Pink Phoenix for 17 years. I signed up and a friend who also in the neighborhood had breast cancer, we signed up together. The joy, the camaraderie, the challenge. Breast cancer really can take you down, and Pink Phoenix gives a lot. It was in 1998, and I noticed a little lump.
I had just had my daughter. She was 1 at the time.
17th mammogram. It was a very aggressive treatment. They came back and didn't say, okay, we'll see you next year. And I knew then. When you find something like Pink Phoenix, all of a sudden, everything that seems to be sort of floating out there and unable to be tethered to the ground, Pink Phoenix tethers us together. This was probably something I didn't think I needed, but I really did need it. Paddling gives us strength. It gives us confidence. It gives us so much. In my mind, if I can push my body to its physical capacity, it reassures me I'm okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I hope that you are hearing empowerment too as you go through this, as we go through this. I want to talk about the Portland Survivor Race, okay? This is the one that is so meaningful to me. So what does this look like? This is a view from the boat. We raft together, like the picture we saw from Vancouver, and you'll notice we all have flowers, okay? Then on the shore, people have flowers. And what we do is they play some inspirational music, always something that makes me cry, how we're fighters and survivors and all of that. But then we take a moment of silence and we drop those flowers in the river for those who have not survived. Those who are no longer with us, or those who were fighting, or those that we're thinking about. And it's not just breast cancer. I lost my friend to ovarian cancer in June, and in September, just last month when we were there, I'm just sobbing because I'm thinking of her and how she doesn't get this chance to be out on the water. And everybody, that's Tom McCall Park in Portland. You may recognize the bowl. People will start to come down and just fill that bowl to just watch this. It is very, very moving and inspiring. And then Portland does, there you go, from shore. They're watching us as well. And then Portland does some other things. Here's our flotilla to raft together. That is done at a lot of the ceremonies. That just shows that togetherness.
That's after the race.
After the race. So we race and have to hold off to the side. Again, we're always in the boat. Okay? Those that are there, those that aren't able to be there. Last year, I think it was, in Portland, I got in a boat that Pink Phoenix actually uses. And the caller, it was a composite team. We were paddlers from all different teams. And she said, look under your seat. And there was a name there. Pink Phoenix puts the names of those who do not survive, who don't make it on their boat. So they are always in the boat. That was really powerful to know that I'm paddling for this person. The other thing Portland does better than anywhere else is a paddle arch. And this is something that we've experienced at multiple survivor ceremonies. This is the one that makes me cry every time. I didn't put it in here, but there's a picture of me coming up this year with a really ugly face because I'm trying to not start crying. What happens is all of those who are survivors are held down on the dock. Then when everybody gets there, everybody else, we're talking hundreds upon hundreds of paddlers, line the walkway with their paddles. And the survivors come off of the boats and walk through it and high five. This year someone was saying to everybody as they walk through, "You are beautiful." That made me tear up. And it's just joy. It is sheer joy. It is like we are survivors and we are thriving. Look at what we are doing, and we are celebrating that.
And it didn't matter if you won the race or not, because just being out on the river and being physically able to do that, that's winning. So, of course, if you win, that's the cherry on top. But if you don't, just being there each year and able to do it, that's the real thing.
Yes. So here's Janita. There's Janita in a prior year coming through the arch. There, he's got a weird camera angle. There's me this year. The one on the left, this year, and you're going to hear about this in just a sec, we paddled on an all-cancer survivor boat, not just breast cancer. It's expanding. Cancer survivor and dragon boating is one of the fastest growing sports in the world. So this year we were on a mixed team. This gentleman there, he is a cancer survivor, so he was paddling with us. Here is in Victoria. Janita is hidden there. Take note of the gal with the red hair. Her story's going to come back in later.
You're there.
And I'm there. Oh, yep, I'm there kind of towards the back. It made the news. You can see the paddle arch there. It is really special. You can see that they do the flowers as well. So this is everywhere. So in 2000, I can't remember, Janita, if this is me or you, but
You go ahead.
okay. In 2000, an all-cancer division started. A Portland team started their own all-cancer paddlers a couple years ago. They're in Sarasota, Florida today at nationals. Okay, so it's...
And next year they're going to Taiwan for the world champions.
Yes. So they have been training hard. So again, it's not just about breast cancer. This is just what it does for us being able to be on that boat. It's broadening even more. This year in Portland, well, we had a master's division, 50 and up. In fact, we've got a team. There's a team called the Golden Dragons where you have to be at least 55 to be on the team, and their average age is 70.
Yep. I say that 50 is a spring chicken because I'm 81.
Yeah. Yeah. We all want to be Janita when we grow up. The Golden Dragons has a 93-year-old paddler. Okay, she can't get in and out of the boat on her own, so they have to help her in and out of the boat, but by God, she gets in that boat and she paddles in those races. It's amazing. Okay, and you can see that's the collar position. You can see that they are all roles in the boat. Okay, so that older division, we call it the old people's boat. That's what our team calls it when we race it. OPB. Yeah. And this year, for the first time ever, in Portland, they had a pride race. So that was for members of the LGBT community and their allies. There are teams out of Canada that are just strictly LGBTQ community members. So that's one of the teams there. And so the fact that they're finding their place as well is really something. Okay, we're going to see if this, I will read out the text because it's kind of hard to read. This is a local paddler who actually paddles with us. Let's see, I don't want to be offensive to anybody. We call her a paddling hoe because she'll paddle with anybody. And she's in Florida.
Yes.
She's in Sarasota right now with the all-cancer team.
She was just diagnosed about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah. Love the shirt. Have you been to the race? Actually, I've competed all over the world. We have teams right here in Salem and Portland, and I paddle with 3. Every team I paddle with has fellow cancer survivors, and my team in Portland is made up entirely of survivors. I'm not a spectator, I am an athlete, and so are all the amazing men and women I paddle with. Dragon boating has introduced me to amazing people all over the country and world, including the doctor who started it. I can't wait to attend my next festival. I love the post-race hair there. Few statistics for those of you that like data. 380 plus survivor teams worldwide. Every team has 22 people on it. You do the math there. It's represented in 40 countries. There are 20,000 paddlers around the world and growing in this cancer community. So you can see how powerful that cancer connection and dragon boating is. We're going to move into our next, we're going to talk about kind of our story, okay? And then we'll be taking some Q&A and a break. We're going to shorten this up a little bit, but if you got specific questions, let us know. So I'm going to turn this over to the lovely Janita.
Yeah, I was diagnosed in 2013, and I had a lumpectomy and went through radiation treatment and then 7 years on an estrogen-blocking medication, which kind of had its own problems with it. I had never heard of dragon boat racing, or even really dragon boats. Well, I'd seen them up in Portland, at the Rose Festival. But someone I worked with, I used to see her once a week, and had breast cancer a few years before me. And I ran into her that fall, and I said, "Hi, Alison, how are things going and what you're doing?" And she said, I'm on a dragon boat team for breast cancer. And I said, "Oh, really? Well, tell me about it." So she did, and she invited me to try. Well, it was October then. It was a little bit wet, and your mind is a very powerful thing, either to talk you into things or talk you out of things. And in my case, sadly, at that point, it talked me out. I thought, well, it's kind of cold. Do I have the clothes? Maybe Alison doesn't realize quite how old I am. I don't know if I could do it. And coming from Britain, I had never been, the boats I'd been on had been ocean liners and large ferries. I'd never been on a small boat, a canoe or a kayak or anything, so I was a little bit nervous. Well, roll around springtime, run into Alison again, and I asked her, and I thought, I got to the point then, I thought, life is precious and you should try everything at least once. However, there are 3 things I will not try. I will not jump from a plane, I will not bungee jump, and I will not go on a roller coaster. I'd like to remain tethered to the ground. But everything else, I thought, I'm going to give it a try. So I said, could I come out? And she said, certainly, and she told me what time to come. So I go down to the dock feeling a little bit nervous, and I'm given a paddle, which are the club paddles, which are a little bit clunky, and that's how you always can tell if someone's going to get serious about dragon boating, because they go out and buy a carbon fiber paddle. And I was fitted with a life vest, and I went out in the boat. And during my 13 years of paddling, I've seen a lot of paddlers. A lot of people pick it up really quickly. I was probably the second most inept paddler who has ever been on that boat. But everyone was very patient with me. I was a little bit nervous, and the first time I thought, I'm not really sure about this, but I should give it a second try. So I went down the second time, still not paddling much better, and I thought, yeah, I probably should try one more time. The third time, what was the hook? We were out on the boat, and I suddenly see about 25, 30 feet from me, I suddenly see this splash of water and something white diving into the water. I think, what is that? And it's gone for a couple seconds, and then what should emerge? This beautiful osprey with a fish. And that was what sold me on dragon boating. I thought to be able to see that, and I think if I had a spirit animal, it would be an osprey. And the picture on the left, one of my friends on the dragon boat team, she had kind of a lot of time on her hands, I think, but that was me up in Portland after the paddle arch, but she took all the people out, put wings on me, and there's an osprey on my shoulders, so she turned me into the queen of the ospreys. Middle slide is when we were at the Pink Walk several years ago. Anna's there, Anna and I are in the middle. And the one on the right is with my family. I think that was the second year after my diagnosis, and that was the Walk for the Cure. So that's my daughter, Willamette grad, and my 3 granddaughters. The oldest one is now in her second year in Columbia. But yeah, so that's pretty much my story, how I got into it. Anna has kind of a unique, different story. A little funny twist to it.
A little twist to it. So I was diagnosed in 2013 as well with breast cancer. And I mentioned that I'm a caregiver. My husband has young onset Parkinson's. He was diagnosed 22 years ago at age 41. Okay, so we've been living with it for a long time. And then about 13 years ago, I get diagnosed with cancer. And I'm like, really? As if our plate doesn't have enough. We were raising our kids, all of that. Went through my year, what I call my year of cancer, 8 surgeries, didn't have radiation, chose not to have chemo because I had a slow-growing tumor, and my oncologist empowered me to make that decision, but it meant I had 10 years of medicines that I had to take. So I've recently been able to finally stop that. So that was in 2013. So it was in about 2017, so about 4 years later, a friend of mine, that's in the middle, those are the 2 of us, she and I were walking on the railroad bridge coming from West Salem over to Riverfront Park. And we stopped and looked down, and there was a boat down there filled with people. And they stopped and they looked up at us and they did a paddle wave, which we'll do for people sometimes if you see us out in the river. So they paddle waved at us, and the coach is yelling up, "You want to come dragon boat?" And I'm like, okay. She's like, "Come down Tuesday at 6. And I look at my friend and we're like, okay. So she's not a cancer survivor, but she was a big supporter through my journey. So she and I went down there. And we got the clunky metal paddle, we got the life vests that are terrible and all of that, and we got on the water and we're paddling, and we didn't know, talk about inept, we didn't know what we were doing. They just kept yelling at us, "Keep in time, nothing else matters." Okay, so we were trying, and we got off the water, and my friend and I turned and looked at each other and said, "Well, that was fun. Let's come back." And so we did. And then we kept coming back. So that was how I got started in dragon boating. These pictures, the middle ones, are my friend Linda and I on the boat, some different events. The one on the left with me all geared up, that is an organization called Casting for Recovery. Cancer has brought a lot of things. I'll be honest, I'm not one who says, "Oh, I'm grateful for it because of all the blessings it's brought me." No, that's kind of BS. It's been a hard journey. But I make the most of what comes before me. So Casting for Recovery is an opportunity for survivors to go on a retreat and be totally pampered and learn how to fly fish, and you get all this really cool gear, and it is a really awesome opportunity. And I know several survivors on our boat actually have had that opportunity to do that. The one on the right, okay, mentioned I was a teacher. Well, we have dress-up days, and actually this was one of the days they actually do celebrate survivors as well. So I was able to dress up in all of my pink. I always say I don't like the color pink, but in October I embrace it. Yesterday was actually, it was 12 years ago yesterday that I was diagnosed. So this is my month. It happens to be in Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but it was a month that I really marked that date. And that date is not one of, oh my gosh, this horrible thing happened. That date was a date I started surviving. So I count my survivor journey back to that date when I was told I had cancer. So that's what dragon boating has really done, is it's shifted our focus. It has shifted how we feel, how we interact with that. And like I said, I'm a caregiver now, full-time mostly. So that hour of practice during the week that I'm out on the river, I can set all of that aside. When I was trying to work full-time and teach, which is super stressful, and caregive, and do this, that 1 hour, all I had to do was listen to the coach yell at me about when to put my paddle in the water. Right? Timing, move your hand, whatever. And that was all fine. That was all good because it gave the brain a rest.
I've got one thing.
Yeah.
I am one who always tries to find a little silver lining in situations that aren't so good. And from having cancer, the silver lining for me was introducing dragon boating to me. Not only was it exercise, but it introduced me to experiences I would never have had otherwise. I've got to travel. I've made the most wonderful friendships through dragon boating. It's just brought so many opportunities to me that I say if I hadn't had cancer, those would never have entered my life. So in a funny way, I'm grateful for it, which sounds strange, but that's how I look at it.
I also need to add one more thing. My kids, all three, were swimmers and water polo players. My husband was a competitive swimmer at the national level, collegiate swimmer, and he also played water polo after. He also coached water polo for years, even after his Parkinson's diagnosis. And so I am not a swimmer. I spent years in the pool, okay? Odochlorine, that was what we always called it. So my entire family applauded me when at 55, I finally found my water sport. All right. This is about thriving, not just surviving. I really hope that you're hearing that message as we go through. We've now approached the time for some Q&A.
Hi.
Sure.
My name is Brenda, and when I was going through my breast cancer treatment, I was going through chemo, and I was adopted by someone here on a dragon boat, and I will just say it gave me so much positive energy during a really hard time. So it is an awesome, awesome program.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
If I can get out. Hi, I'm Jim. Thank you. This is very inspiring. I really appreciate it. I was wondering, about the left-hand, right-hand dominance thing and how you decide that, because you don't have equal numbers of left-handers and right-handers. And does that make a difference?
Yes. And the coach is standing behind us steering the boat, so she looks down, and she keeps putting me on my left side, and I'm like, I hate my left side. She goes, you're stronger on your left side. And we do switch during practice to work both sides, but in races, the coach will determine which side, and some people are equal on both sides, equally strong. There's also they have to balance the boat weight-wise. So sometimes we'll be in the middle of the river, and she's like, it's really tippy, and we literally have to switch in the middle of the river. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one thing. With people being older on our boats, or else having some physical thing, sometimes your one side is better. And for me, I'm a better paddler on my left side, probably because of the surgeries I've had and that my left side works better. And I practice on both sides. But when it comes to racing, you always find me on the left-hand side of the boat.
I'm Rosamond, and I wondered what amount of money does it take for a likely person to join your dragon boat?
Compared to a lot of other sports, it's not bad. We are under, and you'll hear about this in our next section, but we are under Salem Multicultural Institute as our club. So it's a $30 annual fee and then $30 a month that we have to pay for dues because they have to carry insurance and whatnot.
Just through the paddling season.
Through the paddling season, right. Then beyond that, it's up to you and how you want to gear up, okay? After about the third time out with the really heavy paddles, I went, I'm not doing that. But I knew the paddles were more expensive, so I went for the life vest first, okay? Much better than the life vest they had for us. So I bought that first. So that can be, maybe $100. And then when you start to get serious, then you try somebody's paddle and you go, I really want to paddle. And depending on the paddle, they're $200 to $300, but they last. Okay, and then the rest of it is some of our dues do help pay for our entry fees, but there are times that if we want to go to a race, we have to pay additional entry fees, which can vary per person depending on the race. And of course, if we travel, there's travel expenses. But just down to the bare bones, it's the $30 a month dues, and you can get yourself on the boat.
And you get to come up twice.
Oh, yes. Oh, if any of you are going, I might want to try this, we're going to give you contact information at the end, and you get to come out twice for free before we start charging you. Did you have a question?
First of all, I want to thank you for such a delightful presentation. I really enjoyed it. I guess my interest in what you said also is cultural, from the standpoint that most of the trends in sports and everything else that have kind of gone worldwide are Western in origin. And this one, of course, is Chinese in origin, and that's a very interesting difference. And also, my wife and I spent a year in China way back in the 80s. And one thing that was ubiquitous in Chinese iconography, we saw it everywhere we went, was the pairing of the dragon and the phoenix, Long and Fong in Chinese, I believe. Was that right? Okay, yeah. Anyway, but they represented roughly the yang and yin side, the primordial, kind of energy of the universe. And I was wondering how much of that original cultural, connotation has infiltrated into the global dragon boating culture.
That's a great question. We don't experience the yin and yang, the phoenix and the dragon, but we certainly experience and honor the dragon. At every race, almost every race, there is a ceremony. Sometimes they bring in the mayor of the city, the elders of the city, to help be there to honor. Up in Nanaimo, we had the lion dance the lion dancers came, and there was a ceremonial dotting of the eyes. And you'll see that Janita is a part of one of the pictures coming up. They put paint in the eyes to awaken the dragon. So before we start our race, let's awaken the dragon. The rice dumplings are also a part of it, so there can be some offerings to that. So races, depending upon where they are, still honor that tradition and that part of that culture. But I haven't ever seen it paired with the phoenix. Have you?
No.
No, okay. Yeah. And maybe that's where the pink phoenix name, maybe that might have been a part of it. Yeah.
I'm Mark. And as I look at these two boats, they're very ornate with very high rising bow sprits of the dragons and tails. But when I looked at your boats in the river, they were low slung and flat. Are you guys so competitive that drag coefficient matters?
Absolutely. You can answer those.
Yeah, the type of boat we use is what's called the Hong Kong one, which is a long, skinny one, and it has the much smaller dragon head on the front and the tail at the back. When we're just out on the river practicing, we don't put the heads and tails on. Those are just for races. But most people, when you mention dragon boating, they are thinking of Portland and the Rose Festival, and that is a very different kind of boat. It's a lot wider, it's heavier, and you have that huge head on top, which someone lies on because they are catching a flag. They have a flag catcher, and that's what you have to do to, win the race and get across, the finish line first. But two different styles of boats.
And yes, the drag makes a difference. And our steerer has a giant steer oar, and when we're doing things right, it's not even in the water because it will create drag. But if we're paddling correctly and we are racing, she actually can lift it from the water so that she's not interfering with the boat moving through the water.
This is Lucy. You mentioned the season. What is the season?
March through September, roughly. Our team paddles almost all year round. You'll see later in the Beyond the Boat, we go out and pick up garbage. We get on our snow gloves.
Last night.
Yes, she was out last night. We're still paddling. So rain or shine. Okay, when we're postseason, Portland Dragon Boat races in September kind of mark the official end of the race season. Okay, so they're early September, they're done. Now we're pre-training for next season already. So if it gets below 32 degrees, coach says no. If it's howling wind and rain, we won't go out now. Lightning, never go out. Well, except for the one time you got caught in it. I don't think I was on that boat that time.
Never paddled so fast in our lives.
So the main season, I'd say, is March. We really start to gear up, and you're going to see later what we do in the winter time when we can't get out on the river. Because the river, there's two parts to the river. We've got the main channel, and our coach is always watching the river level and the flow rate. And then there's what we call the slough, so going up under the Taco Bridge. That doesn't have a current. It will get high, but it doesn't have the current. So that allows us to paddle more so than if we had to just use the river.
But we have to wait for the winter rains in order to get up there.
Hi, this is Cassia. Tell me about the boats. Do you make them? Do you buy them? Do you carve them? Do you paint them? Where do they come from?
Well, we recently, a couple years ago, went through buying a new boat. So we buy them already made. Florida tends to be the biggest builder. Buck Boats is where they are. They're pretty darn expensive, too. So we had to do a lot of fundraising in order to get the boat. You will see a picture of where our boats are kept and a little bit more about the boats as we go on. They come already painted how you want them, how you set it up, but they're similar to across the boat. So when we go, we do not take the boats to competitions, by the way. People always ask that. We have our boat that we practice in, and when you go to a race, they're responsible for having boats. So they'll rent them and have them trailered in. When we race in Salem at World Beat, we rent the boats. They're trailered in, and we have to paddle them from Wallace Marine Park to our dock before the race, and at the very end of the day, we have to get them back over there.
It's time to leave them wanting more.
Okay. So time for a break, and we'll come back, and we've got some more to share. You're up. We're going to move into a section we've labeled the team, which is it's going to cover a lot of stuff.
The original team I started on was called the Unsinkables, and that was composed of cancer survivors and supporters. And I was with that one for several years, and then as often happens with teams and things, sometimes things happen and change. And eventually moved over to the Willamette River Dragons because most of my friends were on that team. And plus, it was started originally as not so much as just as a team out there that if anyone wanted to hop in and go somewhere, it was designed more as a travel team. So people from other club teams would say, oh gosh, I'd really like to go to Sarasota, or I want to go up to Victoria, or I want to go down to San Diego, and Willamette River Dragons is going, so I'm going to jump on board with them.
Yeah.
Yes, and Singapore started in 2015. Split to the Unsinkables are still there. They are actually with, there are two club teams, as it were, in Salem. There's the ones that are under Salem Multicultural Institute, and then there's the Peace Dragon Warriors and the Unsinkables, who split off, and they are separate from the two, but we share the same dock space. We're still all friends, so everything's good. Like I said, we don't have enough, unfortunately, in Salem anymore to form a team that is completely cancer survivors. So often if we're going to a race in Portland or somewhere else where there's a cancer survivors race, we want to do it. And so we get people from the other teams will come in and we'll paddle. We'll choose a different name and we'll paddle as that team. There's a picture of us up in Portland this year. This past September the 6th. And Anna?
So the Willamette River Dragons originally started as a travel team. So it was just going to be this composite team if there were races that Your main team wasn't going to. And then it actually formed into an actual team when the Unsinkables split off. So it's a group of women who the focus is on women who love to paddle and adventure. And there are 6 or a good half dozen of us on the team that are survivors. Okay, like I said, started as a travel team, then 2 years ago we became our own team. And we have a very inclusive focus. Our ages are 39 to 81, right? Are you 81? There we go.
Guilty.
Okay, guilty. So we have a wide range of ages. All right, we have cancer survivors, we have LGBTQ members and allies. So during the race at Portland, there were all these specialty races, the OPB, the Old People's Boat, right? The Pride race, the Survivor race. So Coach was her team was going all over the place because we were all dividing into these different specialty races and then still had to come back and race our own races as a team. We carry people with us in the boat. We titled this Always in the Boat because being a cancer survivor, you know, things happen. Some people are still in treatment that are actually on the boat. There are days that are just, you just can't make it or life happens. And Coach always says you're always on the boat, whether you're there or not. Once you become a member of this community, you're always there.
And I have to show something. When I put my hand in my jacket pocket this morning, I drew out 2 cards, and I'd written them for a race that Anna couldn't go to and our friend Raisa couldn't. So, Anna, there's your card that was in my PFD pocket, and that was Raisa's one.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So see, we're always in the boat, even if we're not there. So we carry people with us. Coach always says, no matter what's going on in your life, if you can't make it to practice or to a race, you are always in the boat. So there we go. The bottom left slide, that's us winning a race. Just thought I'd let you see how far ahead we were. We kind of like that photo. As a team, many of you mentioned our shirts. And I would like to introduce you to the artist who helped design these shirts, in particular, the Osprey. But the Queen of Ospreys. We got so many compliments on our shirts this year. This was our first year of having them during this race season, and people would stop us and say, your shirts are phenomenal. So that was really exciting, and Janita really helped make that happen for us. Okay, there we are. You might recognize that statue at Riverfront Park. That would be after the World Beat races. Okay, the World Beat races are our home race under Salem Multicultural Institute. And so this would be after the race that they're there. We help host them. Our coach actually manages the whole race, so we hardly see her at all during that. All right. You can talk a little bit more about this?
Yeah, those are some pictures talking about being always on the boat. The middle one, we're looking down on the sand. That was up at Nanaimo one year, and there were several people who couldn't be with us. And then the other 2 were different races. But yeah, we really strongly believe in that concept that if you can't make it, you're always on the boat with us. And especially if you're, sick or going through treatment or something like that and just aren't able to be there, you're always there. We carry you in our PFD pocket, the card.
Yeah. Again, Coach always says, no matter what's going on in your life, if you can't make it to practice or to a race, you're always in the boat. So we talk about, I mentioned our club team. So Salem Multicultural Institute, they're the ones that put on World Beat. They are our umbrella club. Somebody has to pay the insurance. Somebody has to pay the dock fees. There's all of those things. So that is what SMI does for us under the World Beat name. That's why the World Beat races during World Beat Festival, that's our home race. We race on Saturday all day, and we have teams that come from all over. I'll be honest, this year was the first year I think we didn't have any Canadian teams come down, just because they're our friends here in Canada. We go up to Canada once a year for a thing, but they're being told not to come to the U.S. So this year we did not get Canadian teams at Portland or at Salem. So that was really sad because we love our Canadian friends. In Salem, we have the Willamette River Dragons. That's us. We are an all-female team. We have the Angry Unicorns, which has been around for a long time. They are all women's team, and this year they have started the Feral Unicorns. You might not want to look at the initials because they have a lot of cheers with the men's. That's a mixed team, so it's men's and women. You can cross roster, and I talked about that. You can cross roster if you're on a mixed team, a men's and women's team. You can then paddle on an all women's team or an all men's. There are very few all men's team, though. If you are on an all women's team, you cannot cross onto another all women's team unless it's a specialty race, like the Survivor race. But you can cross roster onto a mixed team. So we go to races and people are filling boats and seats all the time, right, if you don't have a full boat. The Highland Roosters and the Highland Hens. So the Highland Roosters are notorious. They were a mixed team, and they wear kilts, and they have a giant speaker that plays bagpipes, so you know when they are heading to race, because you can hear them through the entire venue.
The blue faces.
Oh, yeah, and they'll paint their faces, and they have a lot of fun. And that started with the Highland neighborhood, is where that started. It's broadened beyond that. And then they have the Hens, which is just the all-women's, but they started as a mixed team. And then we have Jade, that started as kind of a different team. Again, teams come and go and evolve, and so that is an all-women's team, and they have done a bunch of traveling. You're going to see a picture of them later. And then we also have their own club, so they don't fall under World Beat. And that's the Peace Dragon Warriors, which at some races are the Unsinkable Peace Dragon, I can't remember. They combine the Unsinkables and the Peace Dragon Warriors depending on the races and how that works. So they have their own boat and their own team and their own locker down at the dock. They kind of do their thing and we kind of do our thing, but we're all part of the same community. That is the World Beat Dragon Club at Portland. So those are the Portland teams. It's a lot of paddlers being represented. They're all here.
The Salem teams in Portland.
The Salem teams at the Portland race, yeah. I think I'll let you talk about this.
Yeah, we're often asked, people haven't ever really noticed our boats, and I have to tell them where they are. I think the boats must wear invisibility cloaks or something. But if you're in Riverfront Park and you look down to the Willamette Queen, you'll see the boats there. Both clubs have two boats. We have our new boat, and then last year we also, which was the 20-paddler one, and then we also bought a 10-paddler one, which is really nice to have. If not so many people are able to go out paddling for practice, we can take the 10-paddler boat instead of having maybe 6 or 8 or 10 paddlers in the big boat. So that's where they are. And the other club also has two boats. They have a 20-paddler and a 10-paddler. But I think this is an old photo because I just see 3 boats there. Or maybe one was out at the time.
Yeah. So what happens when you get out in the boat, in your old boat, and you better tell everybody they better be chewing gum because water's literally spouting up through the floorboard, under the benches, take the gum out and plug the hole. That was our old boat. Honest to God, we had been given the boat for free, so we knew it was...
$1.
Oh, $1. Oh, I'm sorry. And they had taken it out every winter. They would take it out and they'd try to refinish the bottom and put more fiberglass, and it got to the point there was really nothing left. And I was out there one day when it really started leaking. And she's like, well, everybody move off of that bench. And I'm sitting there watching this water spout up. And I'm like, who's got gum? And somebody said, I do. And we literally were plugging the holes. It was crazy. So we did a fundraiser. I think it's about $15,000 to buy the new boat. So we had to do a lot of fundraising, a lot of trust in that. This is the new boat arriving on a trailer. And there it was as it was coming in. We were all very excited to have a boat that wasn't going to be leaking. And it's a brand new boat. Now this, I want Janita to talk about. Yeah.
So you get a brand new boat, and of course you have to have a ceremony for it. And it has the head and the tail on. And we talked a bit about the ceremony before. You'll see on the left, in that little bundle of leaves, that's the rice that got thrown in the water. I was one of the ones honored to be down on the dock. At that point, I was the oldest member, so I was kind of the elder. So I got to dot one of the eyes on the boat, so that's me standing there with my paint and my brush. So that was a very, very exciting day when that happened. And we had people come down from Portland to help us get the boat on the water and christen it.
So what does the boat look like? You've heard us talk about 22 paddlers. Well, it's really 20 paddlers. A person who stands in the back with the giant oars, the steer, and a person who sits up front is the caller. They're yelling out. They're helping us keep time, or during practices, telling us what drills to do. You notice at one earlier photo, the caller had the giant drum. That's only in the races. But they have to sit up high on a chair and straddle this drum and not fall off. Yeah, the chair's like this. Yeah, you got to be kind of tiny to do that. But during practices, they just sit up front. They don't have the drum. So there's what our caller looks like during a race. You can see she's sitting up high in the chair and she's got that drum. And different boats will have different drums. It's all new because when you go to a race, they've rented the boats, so you don't know exactly how it's going to be configured. And if it's a windy, choppy day, they are hanging on for dear life with their legs on it and may not even be pounding. Some races require you to pound out the beat. Some don't. So if we don't have to, we don't, because it can get really confusing and loud. There's our steerer. That's on a practice. That's on a nice day, just chilling on the river. Here's what she looks like in a race. Okay, notice her posture change. She gets down really low. She's got that steer oar in there, really trying to drive us forward. And this was an honorary member that we had. This was our caller's dog. Chloe is no longer with us, but Chloe climbed mountains. Chloe did amazing things, and Chloe would come out on the boat with us. So she had her own little shirt even. All right, you get to describe getting into the boat.
Yes, when you go to various venues, some are really easy to get into the boat, and some are not so easy. This is us coming down. This is up in Portland. You can see it's quite a drop down into the boat. That's not the worst one I've done, but there's always people. What you do is you hand your paddle to either someone who's on the dock or your partner who might be in the boat before you, and then if needed, someone will assist you down in and out again. So it's very safe getting in and out. We practice safety all the time, and getting in and out of the boat safely is one of the things we do. There we are. Everybody is in the boat safely, hanging onto the dock because it's not quite time to leave. We're waiting for instructions to be told from our caller or our steerer to paddles up and get ready to leave. And this was Dragon Boat. Anna had mentioned about teams from other countries coming in. This was Portland 2 years ago, and we hosted a team from Vancouver, Canada, which was wonderful. Hosting requires that of course, they're coming down either by car. Sometimes people are coming by air, so they're not able to bring chairs and things like that. So we bring extra chairs, we bring tables. Very often we provide the food for them as well, so we really try to host them well. And the same thing can happen, when we go somewhere else and you're a traveling team. Some team that's a home team up there will do the same for you. So it's a great community that way. I'm not sure if I should have talked about the high fives then or not.
About the what?
High fives.
Oh. All right. Things happen. This was my first. This was my first race in Salem. My very first race was in Portland, the September before, and then by the time we got here the following June, I'd had a little bit of paddling under my belt, knew kind of what was happening. And Coach always tells you never stop paddling, because as she says, yeah, it is power steering. So if you stop paddling, she can't steer the boat. So if anything happens, you keep on paddling. Well, let's just see how that goes. This is in Salem, down on the Willamette. We're there in the middle in the blue shirts. This was as an unsinkable. These were 10-person boats, by the way, 10 paddlers. It's like Jaws, dun, 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 dun. dun, 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 dun. Whoa, that was me, by the way. And you keep paddling. Notice how their steerer in the boat that stopped was down. She had slipped and fallen. That is what had happened. So they couldn't complete the race. So we went on to win it. So that can happen. Okay, we stayed upright. Notice we didn't go over. Well, let's see it.
That was Salem too.
You were on that boat. No,
Salem's kind of notorious that way.
Yeah, it was Salem and Ridgefield too. Ridgefield is known. But you notice that the paddles, as much as they can, are trying to keep on going. There was one race that collision happened, and the caller, the person at the front of the boat, we captured the caller. She fell into our boat. We took her across the finish line. Ridgefield has it's called River Lake. Ridgefield has River Lake, and it's got really sloped edges, and they try to get too many boats across, and any kind of wake goes out and in and out and in, and every year we do Paddle for Life up there, and there's always at least 1 or 2 capsizes.
That one was not a capsize, though.
No, they stayed upright somehow. Okay.
We get together in the wintertime because we want to preserve that community. We miss each other. We want to see each other. And 2, we're preparing for the next season because in many parts of the country, teams, if you're in a better climate, teams are able to go out all year onto their river or lake, wherever they practice. So Capitol Manor has been very, very kind to us the last few years. 2 nights a week, they let the teams go in for an hour, and we practice at the pool. We have one night, each team, usually there's 2 teams in on each night. So we sit on the side of the pool and we practice. And if we have any new people, we tell them, just wait till you get on the river. It's going to be so much easier. It's a lot harder there because the water, you're pushing it to the end of the pool and then it's coming back again. You've got no flow like you have in a river or lake. But it really keeps us in shape, and I say we improve our skills and keep them up.
And I want to add, we do not practice capsizing out on the river because that would be dangerous in the boat, right? Because we do talk about what to do. We have to count off because if you're missing a paddler, safety is our primary focus out there too. So in the pool, we practice capsizing. Basically, we wear our life jackets and fall over the edge. And what we're doing is practicing lifting people out of the water. So to help, because there's a way to grab the life vest and things. In warmer climates, people do actually practice capsizing in the boat, in the water, but we don't for safety reasons. Okay, we have community teams as well. And they race, they just come together to race at World Beat. And so this year we had quite a few. We had it from the oncology office. So we've got some cancer related folks. We also have other teams that just really enjoy it. Here's our local Catherine. She does a lot of TikToks, so we have a lot of videos from her. We're gonna see if this works. She was helping to coach a community team. And let's see.
From the oncology office.
Yep.
Talk to your patients who you see every day about dragon boating and the great sport that it is. About dragon boating in 2022, when I had an infection, I had to go to urgent care because I was undergoing chemotherapy. And you do not want to get an infection when you have chemotherapy. So between calls to the oncologist and a shot in the ass, the doctor was talking to me about dragon boating and how much she loved it. And I was 46 years old. I am not an athlete. The quickest thing about me is my wit, and when you're going through chemotherapy, that ain't so quick.
Yeah.
And I thought, I am going to be on one of those boats next year. And I was. I also paddle with an all-cancer team in Portland called the Rose City Rockets. Every one of those paddlers, the caller and the coach, has had a cancer diagnosis in the past. Some of them are still going through treatment. Some of them will always be going through treatment. And so come out to some of the festivals and watch us. You have seen us at our weakest, and I would love for you to come see us at our strongest.
That's great. That's an invitation to all of you. Come out in Salem in June and watch the races. All right, everybody's welcome. We talk about we're an inclusive team. We really work on that. Can you hold a paddle? You're in the boat. Are you 29? Are you 82? You're in the boat. Are you blind? Did you lose a limb? Are you on the spectrum? There's an entire team in Portland, visually impaired paddlers. They are blind paddlers. They do have companion paddlers. We have a paddler, and I think she's paddling now with Peace Dragon Warriors, but she had an amputation. So we worked on figuring out how to help her get in and out of the boat. Okay, she's missing one of her legs. We had a gal who, we think it was Asperger's, we don't know, but she certainly had some social issues, but she came and we welcomed her and she became a part of our community. When she had to move, she was trying to work with Job Corps and she ended up moving to the coast, has now joined a new team over there because she had the experience and felt welcome, and so she's able to still do that. You know what? Come paddle. Come enjoy the river. You're in the boat. Do you need a paddler to fill a bench or two in a race? We talked about this. There was the cross paddle. So you too could become a paddling hoe. Oh, sorry. All right, now we're going to move into beyond the boat. And a lot of these photos, I'll be honest, remember Janita's our bird person? I'm our photo person. So most of these photos from here on out, I think, are from my collection. So.
Yeah, we try and be a part of the community. And the last 2 or 3 years, we've done the downtown parade, which I think the picture on the left, because I see water there, that was probably, was that the down parade? Oh, no, it's just,
it was raining.
It was raining so hard it looks like the river, but it was just downtown Salem, and that's the roadway. And then having some fun there, we went out on Halloween. We also go out on the winter, there's a winter solstice, which the kayak community really puts on, but we join in with them. We try and do things together. We've done things with Salem Multicultural Institute, which members of the public have come to. This year we made fairy doors. An artist friend of mine came in and worked with us, and we did collages, which is the middle one. Everyone did something completely different. We had the honor this year, and I forgot to grab that, of being on the cover of, if you get one right now, it's still out there, of the Salem travel brochure. And that's that there. So that day we went out, the dog was our caller. So if you see the Salem travel brochure and it's the dragon boat, that's us, the Willamette River Dragons. The COVID years, I'm sure everyone remembers those. Those were really, really miserable times. Worse for some people than others. I remember the isolation. My grandchildren were young. I wasn't able to see them. Normal life was gone, meeting a friend for coffee, going out to the movies, going to stores. All that was taken away.
No, do you want to keep going, or you want me to?
No, you can.
Okay. So I want you to see, this is when we finally got the okay to go back out in the boat. Okay? There's like 4 of us in a boat meant to have 20 paddling it. That's hard to move it. We're wearing masks. We're well separated. All right? There's an evolution. Well, now we're still wearing masks, but there's a few more of us. We're getting to sit closer together. So as COVID, as it progressed and what they decided they could safely allow us to do, and then the masks were gone, but we still were not quite a full boat. We were still kind of sitting more in pods and trying to keep some separation. But prior to us even being allowed in the boat, we did things like we got together on Zoom. We got creative. Again, it's keeping that community together. The biggest thing that happened is we all became kayakers. I went from not owning a boat to owning 5. My husband didn't know what to do with me. And our coach was incredibly intentional about getting people out. We had people that had multiple kayaks, so they'd bring a couple kayaks to share, and she'd make a phone call to someone she knew had been inside or might be pretty isolated, didn't have a good, strong community. She made sure we got out on the water because we could be in our own boat, but still feel like we were a part of something. We did this for a long time, and many of us are still avid kayakers. I still kayak. We love it. Yeah. And then, yeah.
A lot of what
I can hold the picture for you.
A lot of what I did during COVID is I really got back into painting and nature journaling, and and like I said, to me, it was a really bad time in my life with the COVID and all the restrictions. And I did this one particular picture. I took a sheet of music. Is that the row you wrote one? Yeah.
It is.
And you can come up and see it later, but there's various river scenes depicted on it. And at the bottom, I wrote this: being on the river with friends, but keeping apart in kayaks, or 5 people paddling a 40-foot, 22-person dragon boat in the lagoon. It is not last year, but it is enough. In nature, seeing wildlife with friends, paddling. It makes me kind of tear up. Even,
tear up too.
Even now with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Another thing, yeah, we did. There is us out on the boat, and this one was kind of fun as we different colored kayaks. We tried to arrange in the colors of the rainbow. And then we sang the rainbow song. If I was a better singer, I'm a terrible singer, I would sing it, but you know the song. You probably learned it in school or you've done it with grandkids. Another thing we did was we got together for Taco Tuesdays. We met down at Marco's, which is on Union and High, and we gathered in their parking lot. We took chairs, spaced out, often blankets. One of our paddlers is an excellent baker. She would bring different cookies each time. She wins prizes at the state fair. We also did a lot of puzzles, so this was a time for puzzle exchange. And at that time, early COVID time, everything, when you took it into the house, it kind of had to go in quarantine for a while. So it was kind of the same with puzzles. They got wiped down, and you took it home, and then you sat it in quarantine for 2-3 days, and then you could work on it. And then next Taco Tuesday, you would take your puzzle back, and you get another puzzle. So that was one of the things we did. Never done so many puzzles in my life. This is beyond the boat. We went over. Anna's going to talk about Victoria.
Well, this is where we started to travel. Remember we said we wanted to travel, Willamette River Dragons, okay? And so we were seeing other teams. So we went to Victoria. Now, this one actually was Unsinkables. We started to do that with them. You'll notice that we've got pink and blue shirts. The pink are survivors. The blue ones were not on this particular trip. We had paddlers from all over that joined us on this boat. And in Victoria, something really special happened. Remember way back the lady with the red hair that we had mentioned? Her name is Edison. She's originally from Ireland, lives in Victoria now, paddled with us. Sitting in the bar one night after the races in Victoria, we all started talking about traveling and how fun Ireland would be. And she's like, well, my family still lives there. What does that look like? So then the coach went and looked at Ireland has got a ton of survivor races and just a ton of races in general. They really embraced dragon boating. And she found a race. She kept putting them on our Facebook feed. What about this? What about this? And finally one popped up that we all went, that looks great. And that is something that we're going to get to in just a second. You can see we love Canada too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canada's a second home. We love going up to Canada. This was a year or two before up at Nanaimo. And the picture on the left, at that point, they had this giant gold picture frame that you could, stand in, and then you got the view of the water beyond. I think maybe in the back towards the left, that might possibly be the mayor of Nanaimo. We met him when we went down to check out the venue on the Friday night, and there was someone there walking along with a visibility vest and a little sweeper and a little dustpan thing, and he was picking up garbage, found out he was the mayor, and he said, yeah, this is a job they trust me to do. So we had to have him in the picture. He came and it was in the picture with us. The next one was at the Wolawas. We went over there one year. One of the things I remember about that, there were either 12 or 14 of us in this small B&B, one bathroom. But we made it work. We're a team. We made it work. 14 women, one bathroom, made it work. There were some really rough waters on the Friday we went out for a practice. I was really glad to get back to the shore. Saturday was a nice day. Sunday, complete change around. Very, very cold. We wore everything we had. There was a little store there. We went in and bought all the fleece blankets. I was knitting some fingerless gloves at that point. I'd one done, and I was working quickly on the other so I could get it done and put that on. So that was, there was also a slalom race there, which very seldom you have those, but that was so much fun. And that shows the steerer's real talent, because she has to kind of steer you through the post there.
And this is, remember Jade? I talked about them. They went to the Bahamas. They really wanted to do that. You launch off a beach. It's warm water.
It was two teams. That's
yes.
Right. They called themselves the Jaded Unicorns.
Yes, it had Jade and the Angry Unicorns combined. So we do that. We make up names as we go. But they had a ball doing that race. That was something they really wanted to do. They've gone to Montana, Arizona. Puerto Rico was on the docket. Then there was a hurricane, and then it kept getting tried to redo, and they haven't done the Puerto Rico didn't happen the way that they had hoped it would. But there's a lot more races. We've got, Janita brought some medals, I brought medals, but we've got Olympia, Kent, Tacoma, even local races here. Like I said, Ridgefield, there's in California, they're all over. Sarasota's happening this weekend. So a lot of travel. This was our big trip. Donegal, Ireland. So I remember it launched in the pub in Victoria, and by God, we made it happen. And we went for their 10th anniversary of the Donegal Dragons. And what was really cool is that we arranged it. We flew into Dublin and then came across the south of Ireland and practiced with teams along the way. So it wasn't just the one race. It was the community all over. And we loved it. We didn't want to come home. Here's a little bit about the Donegal Dragons. Ooh, we're getting close on time, but I'll play a little bit of it. I'm going to shorten this because it's a lot of this images, but you can see it's a breast cancer survivor team that had been around for 10 years. The founder had survived breast cancer, and she was doing a 2 to 3 hour bus ride into Dublin a couple times a week, and her husband said, this is stupid. Found your own team. So she did. So she ended up starting her own team in Donegal. This is her right there on the left, and this just brings you the joy of Ireland. We had so much fun. This was on the boat that is in the bay the night before our race. We think they were trying to get us to drink and be tired before our races. That's what we think was happening. Where's my play button?
No matter where I go, it's in my soul. My faith may wander a thousand places, but my heart still leads me back home to my Donegal.
Her face, she was just sheer joy. Okay, come on, there we go. She was just sheer joy and such a pleasure to be around. I think you could.
This is probably, having been to the largest race ever, this is the smallest one, just 12 teams. And it was really because of the venue. That was pretty much all it could handle. But of those 12 teams, they represented 3 countries and 2 continents. And the person on the left with Anna, that is Patricia, and she is from a breast cancer team in Valencia, Spain. And there was a breast cancer team from Manchester. And a lot of the Irish dragon boating teams are breast cancer teams, very interestingly enough. And that's us in Donegal again. And now Beyond the Boat, Nature. And Anna's going to start on that.
And we'll go through these pretty quickly. We can always show you some later if you want. But you might notice that little trail of water whenever we're out there, especially up the slough. We look for that trail of water because guess who's right there? And
you listen for.
They don't like us to come up, and they will slap at us, and it makes us giggle and laugh every time. This guy was used to us, so I got that picture. He just sat there and watched us go by. We've got lots of deer. We're always seeing them. One time we saw a buck. He was on the riverfront park side, and he jumped in the water, like almost in front of us, and swam over to the Minto Brown Peninsula side. And we had just gotten off the boat, and we're all cheering, "You can make it." And we're like, do we need to go run down in the boat and rescue him? But he made it.
That's a egret that we see quite often, the white egrets at certain times of the year. There's where my heart is, the ospreys. I often think people, considering that the river is just basically a block from downtown Salem or on the edge of downtown Salem, I think majority of people would just be amazed at the amount of wildlife that they can go and see if they just walk down there. Last winter we had, that is local wildlife photographer David Lanoe there. Takes the most wonderful pictures. If you go on to Friends of Minto Brown on Facebook, you will see stunning photographs from him. Those were pictures he took from our boat one of the times he came out with us. And talk about herons. We see the herons a lot. Oh, Anna, you could grab that book. The interesting thing about herons, somehow, we don't know how it happened, but all the herons are known as George. Occasionally Jorge, occasionally Georgette, but they're George. Sometimes you can catch their disapproval. They fly in front and across of us, and they're very vocal. It was interesting, when we got to Ireland, they said, "Oh yeah, we have herons here too, but ours are called Harry." So I don't know what it is with the dragon boaters and herons, but they seem to give them names wherever they are. This is one of my Nature Journal pages, and during the COVID years, and I did a thing. One of the things I put in it was the herons, so that'll be up there if you want to look at it, and 1 or 2 other things concerning water and that. So put that there.
And the eagles. There is a mated pair of bald eagles that hang out on the, that hang out on the peninsula that comes out right across from Riverfront Park. They are almost always out there.
Marion and Polk.
Marion, oh yes, and Janita helped to name them. They are named Marion and Polk. Because it's kind of in between. All right, and there's the nest. They've got several nests in there that they use. They're on the shore sometimes. We see them every time we go out. That's one of my best photos I got. That one I'm tickled with. This one, he's actually taking apart another bird, and that was really unusual, but he was there pulling all the feathers out. Okay, there he's fishing, just hidden in the trees. Okay.
Of course, we see a lot of mallards, and the little babies, they're just like little fur buttons, and we get a lot of joy from them in the springtime. This is one of Anna's pictures, and we have deer, we have ducks, and we have a heron, all captured in the same photo.
Oh, and I do want to mention that a bobcat has been spotted by another team, and we see mink as well running along the edges. So we do see, and otters too. So we've seen that. This was a dragonfly that had found my paddle. So dragon found a dragon. We talked about the journaling. Oh, the feared Willamette croc. Dun, 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 dun. This is going to lead into, and I know our time is just about up here, but we'll go through this really quick.
This is an important part. We get so much joy from the river, we feel we have to go give back. And so we think of ourselves as river keepers. We pick up trash almost every time we're out. In the winter months when we're not practicing and when the rains have flushed more garbage down, that's when we pick up a lot of really heavy stuff. That's in our old boat. There's shopping carts and all sorts of things in there. There's a couple of Anna's photos. I'll let her talk of those. Some more interesting items.
Well, we just find lots of interesting items hanging in the trees, and don't know why the bra was there. Buzz Lightyear had a little crash landing. You name it, we found it. We have the trifecta: liquor bottles, needles, lighters, shoes. We always get really excited. If you weren't in the boat and you were outside hearing us, you would think we'd gone batty, because we're like, a bottle, woo, we get a drink tonight, or, you know, an old whatever, and we just laugh about it. We truly, the garbage is something.
That was during the COVID years, picking up garbage. There was a lot of propane tanks at that point. I got teased about having the propane tank in the back of my kayak, that I was trying to make it go faster. There we are unloading stuff that we picked up from the river. That one on the left is an epic one. We spent one weekend, we went out Saturday and Sunday to the island under the Taco Bridge. I think there were 9 shopping carts there. We got at least 7 of them. Some of them were really mired in the mud. It's me and someone else up at the front. I think there were only 4 or 5 paddlers then, but boy, did we pick up a bunch of stuff. There's a bag of collection from another time. Our steerer always takes pictures of the trash that we pick up each time, so we've got quite a collection.
And these are just some views from the river. Sunsets, especially this time of year, just absolutely stunning. We live in a beautiful place. This brings us such joy and nurtures our soul and our spirit. That particular picture there actually won the Salem City of Streams photo contest. That was one of mine with the fall light. There's the Taco Bridge we refer to a lot. When it rains, we're able to get under it and go up the slough, and we make it all the way to Minto Brown. That is a path marker. Okay, we paddle almost to the dog park when the waters come up. So that normally is not underwater. So, and again, we want to remind you that this is about thriving, not just surviving. And we want to thank you for being here. And we are going to take some questions. If you want to look out more about some of the programs that they have, that email, if you want to come paddle, want to come try it out, email. Say, hey, we saw this presentation and we want to hop on the boat for our 2 free times to come try this out. Anyways, now we're going to turn it over to some Q&A. And we thank you.
I'm Ava. You told us closer to you. Okay. No. You told us, I believe, that practice is 1 hour a week. Correct me if I'm wrong. 3 times a week. 3 times a week for 1 hour. What about the races? How long are the races? Is it a mile race, a 2 mile race?
Oh, they're 500 meters is a typical race. Some are the short races are 250, and I always get excited for a 250 because you just start and you keep up that rate and you're done. 500s can get really long. Portland has a bridge to bridge that is about 2,000, but that's a specialty race. So it really varies. Some races are 2 days and they're spread out over 2 days. Some are just 1 day. So you are racing. You get down on the water, come back up, get a chance to grab a snack, drink of water, and you're warming up again to head back down.
I'm Mark again. Do you have any traditions or rituals or ceremonies that you perform before you race or before you get in the boat, a centering or anything like that? And when you christen the boat, do you use a bottle of champagne, sake, or a vial of tamoxifen?
We did use champagne. We used champagne to christen our boat. Our particular team doesn't have any specific rituals other than the warm-ups that we do, but there are other teams that have moments of gathering, and whether it be a prayer, whether it be a motivational mantra that they do. So it really varies.
We do have one at the end. We all get together at the end and go in a circle. And it's kind of sort of what we say is,
when I say
Willamette, you say damn it.
Willamette,
damn it. Willamette, damn it. And that may sound a bit weird, but I challenge you to find any other word that rhymes with Willamette. And how that came about was when we were in Ireland, the person announcing the boat there, or the races there, had a terrible time with remembering how to say Willamette, and then he'd find it, he'd hardly say it. And so that's why we got this Willamette, damn it thing. So really stick in people's ears how you pronounce Willamette River Dragons.
Yeah.
I'm Ann, and I really do thank you so much. During the discussion between the sessions, it came up about budget. And for some people who are cancer survivors or still in the process of surviving, are there any kinds of insurances like silver sneakers or anything like that that might make it possible for people to afford the monthly cost of belonging?
Not that I know of on that, but I do know that when possible, that if people can't afford the dues, that they're asked to reach out to the Salem Multicultural to see if they have some funds to help offset it. Yeah. Yeah. I do want to say we have a variety of things up here. We've got shirts from races. We've got medals, real medals, other medals. This was our original shirt design. The dragging was intentional because you know what that is? That's the Willamette River. So it's the Willamette River cutting through Oregon. So that's still on our shirt here. Let me tell you, Dragon Butters love some color. So you don't miss us when we are wearing our stuff.
That was from Concord, Vancouver.
Yeah.
This is probably one of my favorite shirts. I guess it dates me. I love tie-dye. That was from Nanaimo, Canada. Not our team shirt, but it was the shirt for the festival, one of the ones for the festival.
And I wanted to show you our life vests. Somebody asked about life vests. We have to wear full-on ones. We can't do the inflatable. We're not allowed to for insurance purposes here. The waters are too cold and dangerous. So imagine this is on with your paddle. So do it again. Sorry, I forgot. This is my dry bag for my camera. So I always have that here. But if you want, you're welcome to try this on and try to paddle. You have to work around it.
There are ones for women that are more sculpted inside.
Oh yeah, they got cut out. The other thing, our paddles, we have a blade guard to protect the blade. This is a butt pad. That's how we refer to it. The benches are hard wooden seats. So this has a little bit of like gel in it, and it's got a little sticky so it'll stay on the bench too. So most of us have these in some form or another. Or they grab out of the locker the gardening cushions. So people will sit on that as well.
My name is Neil, and before today, one of the things that I remembered the most, which I'm sure I share with a lot of you, was reading The Boys in the Boat. Thank you for bringing the girls in the boat to us. And since you are survivors, I just wondered, at what point in going through chemotherapy or other kinds of therapy, do your members generally feel it's time to go beyond that and join a group like yours?
It really depends on how you feel. It really depends on how you feel. There are some who are still in treatment who are on their boats. Yeah. So I didn't find it till 4 years after my diagnosis and all of that was done. So I think it just really depends on how it happens. Because if you don't know it exists, I didn't know it existed, right? Until I walked over the bridge and looked down in the water. There it was, right? And so because you don't know that, it really depends. In Portland, I know the Pink Phoenix, like I said, they have those who are in treatment who sometimes come out, can't race, but sometimes just come out on the boat. Coach will say, if just come out on the boat, just sit on the boat, just take in the water, just take in the nature, take in the joy and the spirit that the river gives us back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all we have time for. Thank you so much for a fabulous presentation.
You're welcome.